I'd rather create something that others criticise than create nothing and criticise others.
If you have high quality product behind the bar, it's like a weapon.
It's not about the figures. It's about who those figures are.
The Hospodpreneurs Podcast.
I'm going to drink this beer.
Yeah, let's crack them.
With James Henderson.
With a product that's the first of its kind to be FDA approved in Australia, Body Armour provides a sort of pre-workout for partying. Tony describes how he has built his own business and some of the obstacles he's dealt with along the way, like massive scepticism, business failure, and how those lessons have then provided a platform for success. We discuss marketing strategies and insights and what it takes to develop and differentiate a health product in a very competitive space.
Hello and welcome to the show, Tony.
Thanks, James. Thanks for having us.
No worries at all, mate. No worries at all. As you know, the first question I like to ask is, what is your crazy hospitality story?
Crazy hospitality story, probably, I guess, how it all started is a relevant one. How the business of Body Armour commenced. It was about 3.5 years ago, turning 30, decided to go to Vegas with all the friends, as you do. Got too excited and ended up, in those kind of very infamous Vegas medical type centers where you go and get all your vitamins and all that sort of stuff. And as I was getting that drip in, it was one of the nurses that was saying, hey, listen, there's this kind of liquid or product, I guess, that you drink and it assists your liver in breaking down toxins, and it also replenishes and lost nutrients. So you should give that a go, especially if you're going to be partying and whatnot. So yeah, we decided to give it a go, and we actually couldn't believe as to how well we felt the next day for the amount of beers that we were drinking. We thought it was a coincidence, obviously, coming from the medical center and having all those drips put in us. So we tried it again, and same results day in, day out for the 6 or 7 days that we were there.
Yeah.
We thought to ourselves, geez, a country like Ireland or Australia where, let's be real, we've got a pretty big drinking culture. We like the party scene, I suppose. How is it that we don't have a solution that's as effective in the country? So that kind of initiated, I guess, where it all began and got us to where we started here in Australia.
Yeah, right. So obviously I'm very interested in how the product works, what's in it, whether you found adjacent markets that have been interested in your product. Obviously it started from this party culture, and that's sort of the direction that you guys launched in, and you've also found some other markets. I want to start on a really macro level, why you do what you do.
Yeah. Listen, there's multiple reasons. I came from a kind of corporate background for multiple years, and there's its limitations and restrictions. And I've always had a dream for many, many years, even before coming to Australia, to work in an organization that has really a culture like no other. Like, it's renowned for its working culture. So it's kind of like the pub scene feel that you have with your mates and friends and family, but in a working kind of environment. So you kind of work hard, play hard type thing. So that was the initial drive. And, after working for multiple organizations, as good as they were, I never really found what I was looking for effectively. So it came a point in time where I was presented with a few opportunities where I decided to go for it and create that for myself. So that was, I guess, the initial piece. And then it's about finding the right product and service that's aligned with your values and aligned with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, what was it that really prompted you? Because a lot of people have this experience, they're in corporate life and they hit this point where they're like, they get frustrated for some reason and they want to do their own thing. I think everyone who's started their own project has experienced that. And there's probably people out there listening who maybe they're working in the industry or out of the industry listening to the show, and they're having that friction. They're deciding whether to do their own thing or what to do, working out what to do and how to do it, and if they're going to do it, how to do it, why they should do it. There's all these questions, and I guess I'd like to know, firstly, what prompted you to do that? What was it that really pushed you?
I think for me, I've always had it. It's always been my gut feeling that I'd want to do this from a young age. Hence why I left Ireland at a young age, or early moved to different countries and finally ended up in Australia. I think for me, it's because I've had this desire to do it forever, and there is never a right time, I guess, if that's the question. But for me, it's more about, I would hate the thought of one day being 60, 70 years old and looking at myself in the mirror and basically not having done it, or not having, not having tried it in some shape or form. So I don't think there was a particular moment where I woke up in the morning and I went, right, today is the day I'm doing it. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long, long time. Sure, try to find the best timing possible, but like I said, that's very hard to come through. And it was just a moment where I guess the stars aligned for myself, and that fear of regret and never giving it a good blast.
Yes, I find in a lot of cases it's that there is a straw that breaks the camel's back in some way. Like, it's this build up over time, and eventually people just get bogged down, they get sick of it, and they make this change. But in creating that change, obviously that's a huge lifestyle change as well. You were traveling the world. In fact, tell us a little bit about your experience there. there. Tell us about the job that you had before you decided to go body.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mad background really. So I was born in Finland, left Finland at the age of 2, moved over to France, where father was a head chef for European Parliament. I lived there till I was about 11, 12, so French is the first language. Then moved back to Ireland and continued and finished studies in Ireland. When that was all completed, decided to take part of the Finnish military service. So flew back over to Finland, completed that, ended up staying there for 2 years doing paramedics. And then that was it when the 2 years was up. Got a little bit sick and tired of the cold, to be honest, and decided to go for a more tropical place of the world. So took a bit of time off to go traveling through South America and all that sort of stuff. And then landed in Australia. This will be 12 years in May. Mm-hmm. And initially it was just a 1-year plan. I think it was 21 or 22. Get here, do a bit of the basic bar work around Australia, picking fruits and all that sort of stuff. Ended up in what I studied, which was HR, and was very grateful and very lucky to get picked up by Rio Tinto, who offered me, I think it was about 9 to 10 years career, where I travelled around the world, travelled around all Australia in different kind of remote areas, setting up mine sites, everything from your standard HR to your legal to your recruitment to whatnot. So, like I said, very grateful for the opportunity. At an excellent time, and I think I owe them a lot for the education that I've received in some shape or form. And certainly I've taken a lot of those skills on board with setting up this company.
Yeah, 100%. And you can see a couple of those little things that might have influenced your perspective.
Absolutely. The traveling piece and the moving from country to country, and even within Australia, so many different cultures, and you get, you really sharpen those people skills, which is ultimately one of the, I guess, key fundamentals in success.
So when you decided you were going to give it a crack, what did you do? How did you go about doing that? There are two sort of schools of thought as to whether you should really plan a lot before you execute, or the other school is that you just go out and do and then adjust.
The planning piece is vital. It is really important. I was involved in 2 ventures prior to setting up this one, and we made a lot of mistakes, both from a marketing, from a planning perspective. All the mistakes you can probably envisage. We've been there, done them. So again, I look at that as a form of education. And for this time around, when we've had this particular concept and we put the team together, we really did pump the brakes in the sense of ensuring that we mapped out really what our goal were, what's our mission, what's the vision, what's the plan, 12-month plan up to 5-year plan, what's our branding going to be about, how we're going to do our marketing, what's our target audience, really literally map it out on whiteboards, on paper, have it all documented to have some form of direction before we do kind of jump on board. And it also helped in the seeking for investors space. It also helped in a number of different facets when looking for partners and whatnot. It just demonstrates a lot more that you're, I guess, across your plan, and you've got a bit of a goal versus kind of hoping that your product or service is going to do enough.
So then how do you know, how do you ride that line between doing and thinking?
Yeah, right. Yeah, because you could be thinking forever.
That's right.
100%, absolutely. I think there comes a point in time where, as a team, if you're unified with what your vision is, you all share, I guess, the same values and have a plan as to what your next 3 to 6 months look like. I think at that point in time, good to go. Obviously, you've done all your admin side of things, your registrations and all that kind of jazz. You've, if there's any regulations that you need to do, obviously all that sort of stuff needs to come first. But as far as when do you launch into the market, I think you've done your testing, what your vision and mission is, and you know roughly what your plan is going to be.
Yes. And I want to ask about your testing. There's obviously a discussion I want to open on that. Before I do, just tell us a bit about Body Armour.
Yeah, so listen, Body Armour, so the concept came from a party in Vegas. Obviously, we wanted to grow the solution from there and make it a lot bigger and better than what it was and offer various other health benefits. So we've done quite a bit of study across other countries that had similar type concepts, South Korea being probably one of them, where the product or a similar product is ingrained in their drinking culture. And so with Body Armour, what we wanted the product to be is a symbol of nightlife and enjoying yourself and being able to have a great night, but also being able to get more out of tomorrow, right? So it's the healthier way of conducting an unhealthy activity.
So have your cake and eat it.
Yeah. It's a little bit of that. So it's kind of, if we're out there drinking, we're out there enjoying a few beers. Unfortunately, for every beer and every alcoholic beverage you have, you pick up some toxins. So the way we see it is, why not help your body combat those toxins and give your body a bit of a hand in the breaking down of those toxins and removal of them.
Yes. Obviously, there's huge dialogue taking place around health in industry as well, that you've got adjacent markets in health and possibly other areas that haven't even come to you yet. There'll be people out there who haven't yet.
Absolutely.
Who's been really receptive?
So the one that's probably caught us most out of guard, we've had two. We've had the gym world. We've had a number of gyms approach us after having studied the list of our ingredients and basically letting us know that, listen, there's nothing really out in the market that has that volume of ingredients in a 100ml bottle for the price that the bottles go for. So gyms have started pushing it to, I guess, especially weightlifters and bodybuilders type of thing, and are using them as a supplement, because we've got 4 active ingredients that work directly in your liver and assists your liver in breaking down, toxins, not only alcoholic toxins, but all toxins. So people that are big into the fitness world are getting some great benefits out of it. The other one that caught us completely off guard was pregnant ladies, which is a really funny one, because obviously we're marketing it in the hangover space, right? But ultimately it works in the digestive system as well as like your liver and a number of other benefits. And one of the key benefits is fights against nausea. Right, and we found that some of the pregnant ladies that had drank it felt that it combated against nausea and taking that horrible feeling away from them altogether. So that was a random one. We featured in a few kind of pregnant women's pages on Facebook and all that sort of stuff.
Cool.
And it was another market we'd never even thought about.
Yes, that is interesting.
Yeah.
So because I know that normally you have to take it an hour and a half before you go out.
That's it.
Yeah.
So how it works, it's a preventative tool, right? So you drink the entire 100ml bottle 1 hour before heading out. The only reason for that is just to allow your body time to absorb the formula rather than flushing it out immediately. So sure, it will still work whether you drink during your night out or next morning. There's still health benefits, but as far as a hangover relief benefit component, for maximum results, that needs to be drank an hour before. Yeah, absolutely.
Even for the pregnant women, for example?
I guess pregnant women and gym goers, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a supplement, like a protein shake, like anything else. You can drink it whenever, right?
Whatever, yeah. But how long does that effect then take place? Like, how long is it in your system to help with that?
I guess it's kind of like any vitamins. So it lasts for the 24-hour period. If the questions are more pointed at the people that are using it from a hangover space, again, it's designed for someone that, the average Joe that might drink between, say, 5 and 10 pints on a big night and maybe a few spirits, and then they might go crazy with a few shots. And that's great. At the end of the day, it isn't black magic. If people decide to go and excessively drink and poison themselves, then they're naturally going to feel it the next day.
And you mentioned there that it works for people in other markets, like gym goers, obviously taking other things that this then helps their body process. We don't condone the use of other substances when you have a night out, but I'm guessing that it obviously works to process all sorts of things that your body might take. Is that
absolutely? Like, listen, it works. Like I said, the key ingredients in it, if you were to break it down into 3 kind of categories, you've got a fairly large hit of electrolytes, your salts and whatnot. It's a very large hit of vitamins, from your C's to your B's, your D's, and so on. And then 4 active ingredients, like I said, that works directly on your liver, and it just enhances your liver's ability to break down toxins. Right, so those toxins are all toxins, including alcoholic and other toxins you may put in.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, cool. So the next question I have is around your TGA approved. So what does that actually mean? What is it? What's it mean?
Very proud.
First in Australia.
It is of its kind, 100%. So TGA stands for Therapeutics Goods Australia. It's effectively a regulation or a board that regulates pharmaceutical medicines. And in a nutshell, it's a governing board that's put in place to ensure that medicines or pharmaceutical products don't make claims that are false, right? In simple terms. So what that means is they go through your ingredients, they go through any claims you wish to make, and they demand or request scientific evidence and clinical trials and whatnot that will support any claims that you want to make, right? So really, really good system that Australia has to ensure, like I said, that you walk into a pharmacy or whatnot and you pick up a pharmaceutical good, the claims they wish to make, if it's TGA approved, that there's science behind it, right? And it prevents any kind of products that are out there that want to take the gimmicky approach and push kind of, false claims.
Yes, because there are 2 systems. There are 2 out there. There's medical.
Well, so the way for consumables here in Australia, you can either list your consumable as a food, which just falls under the Food Act, and all you've got to do is show that your ingredients aren't going to kill people effectively. So that's the majority of your consumables. You walk through Coles and Woolies, and you look at most of the stuff that's on the shelves would go under the Food Act. Then you've got the medicine patent, right? And that falls under TGA, which is that Therapeutics Goods Australia. And ultimately what you need to do there is you need to submit scientific evidence that, like I said, supports any claims you wish to make, right? The beauty of that, once listed as a medicine, is that you can use those therapeutics claims to kind of help with your marketing or whatnot. So obviously a lot more challenging to get down the medicine path because, like I said, the scientific evidence they're quite stringent with it, but benefits are enormous for products like ourselves or any products that need to be able to demonstrate the therapeutic benefits.
And so then how hard is it to become TGA approved?
Yeah, it is challenging. So we've attempted it first ourselves, didn't really succeed.
Why was that?
I think we just didn't have the evidence. Well, not so much. I know we didn't have the evidence. We didn't have the right documentation. We didn't have enough to meet the TGA standard. And potentially we just didn't really understand the full process and thought it would be easier than it was. So learned a lot from it, and we decided then to take on a few external regulators to jump on board with us for a 6-month period to work with us in obtaining the trials and obtaining the relevant studies and compiling it all into a document and then submitting it for approval, and it sits in front of the TGA board and they decide whether we meet requirements or not. And not proud to say in January this year, 2018, we were approved and are now listed.
Fantastic. I mean, even becoming TGA approved, you must have dealt with some skepticism.
Oh, so absolutely. Our product, especially because we are marketing it in the hangover relief space, has the negative stigma, that negative connotation that, hey, it's a gimmicky little droplet or the tablets. And we knew that was going to be the case. Hey, I was one of these people 100%. I remember when I first tried the similar concept in Vegas, I didn't believe until the following day, and I had to retry it, all in the name of science, of course, until I was, hang on a minute, there is actually a bit of science behind it. So if done correctly with the right ingredients, and it can be achieved, and that's exactly what we've done. Now, it took us about 3 years of work to get to that particular point, a lot of testing through that phase, which was probably the fun part, to see the effectiveness. Skepticism, and we still face it today every single day. The first thing people think of is, does it really work, is it really effective? But at the end of the day, it's not magic, it's science, right? The best way that we've, I guess, converted people is for people that have tried it themselves. We've had a number of people that are curious, tried it, and now are with us long term and can see all the benefits. Yeah,
fantastic. I want to actually ask you another question around a company that I've noticed inspires you guys. So what's a bit about those guys? I don't want to say conversation.
Well, I've looked at a lot of different brands and a lot of different companies over the last few years since I've started the entrepreneur path of my life, we'll say. And one that's always stuck to mind was Red Bull, just in where they've started, which was effectively a 2-man show in a garage in Thailand, to where they've come about. And they've had a lot of different factors that's aided them grow to where they're at. But from a branding perspective, they've really hit the nail on the head and been able to evolve from just a product to really a brand. So the brand has completely outgrown the product itself. You could nearly say if they were to stop selling cans of Red Bull tomorrow, the brand itself would continue. And just how they've diversified into the extreme sports world and what they've done and how they've aligned themselves to that world is quite phenomenal, really. So I've looked at that quite a bit, and our end goal for Body Armour is not too dissimilar. So we're looking to make sure that the brand outgrows our product, and how we're going to do that is by delving into the event space. So Body Armour is on to their second event commencing in March this year, and the event itself will have a point of difference and a different theme to every single event that's out there, to offers, I guess, our audience and the people that come to our events something different to your standard, just music, food, entertainment, that sort of stuff. So Red Bull plays a big part in shaping of where we're going as well.
How do you then come up with interesting creative ideas for your events?
Well, we've got an awesome team of quite creative type people that have as well travelled quite a bit. The 4 of us have all lived in multiple countries around the world, so we've got to see what other countries do. That's allowed us to bring a flavour from that. We're also very, very lucky that we're working with some excellent brands out there from different type of disciplines that we'll partner up with, and they'll be able to bring, I guess, their own little touch to the particular event. It's all around, I guess, collaboration and bringing experiences that we've experienced in the past.
What are you exploring at the moment? What is it that you're interested in? Where are you pushing things? Where are you trying to explore?
For us, I guess our biggest goal at the minute is just more around the education of the product itself. Before we can start, I guess, exploring or looking at phase 2 or phase 3, it's more around getting trust with our customers and whatnot, right? It's effectively changing people's mindset on what the product is, from being what we currently see it as, it's the hangover cure, does it really work? Versus, hey, I'm going to go out there, have a few drinks, have a Body Armour to give myself a bit of a health kick instead of going and poisoning myself. So the exploring phase, I think, will come into next as to where and how we expand. Before that, I think we've got our hands full with educating our audience on the product itself.
And what about more personally? What is it that you're interested in, that you're exploring?
For me personally, Good question. Nothing comes to mind at the minute because I have been so deep in this at the minute.
That reminds me of another. So we caught up before the show. There was something that we discussed around working in the business versus on the business. And that was something that I experienced with Ambi. Listeners will know the tech company that I described earlier on in my career. If it may be called that, it's a very interesting career, that's for sure, even already. But there's that difficulty where you're in it and it becomes you. You are the brand.
Yes.
How do you then distance yourself and look objectively at the business? From that answer there, it tells me that that's something that you're also experiencing. It's that you're very much in it. So how do you distance yourself to look at it objectively?
Absolutely. A point of difference, I guess, or a side step from what the likes of Red Bull and other brands are doing is that we're consciously ensuring that the brand also has faces behind them. Right. So we're doing a lot of work on the social media front so that we constantly are in front of the camera ourselves. We're putting, like I said, a personality, I guess, behind the brand itself. There's four kind of owners, I guess, of Body Armour, if you like, and each four very diverse personalities. So part of our, I guess, marketing is to allow, I guess, our viewers and our customers to get to know us personally as well outside of our business. Because exactly like you said, it's quite easy to kind of just focus on what the business is all about. And that's all that people see versus what we're trying to do is to really create, here's the business, but here are the faces behind it and here's the personalities. So there is something that you can relate to, I guess.
Then is that how you're making sure that you're still looking at things objectively?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a bridge between you and the business, which is a great way that a lot of businesses, and the word's overused, but that they're maintaining an authentic perspective on the business. Do you still then find that you're in it? You're in it. You spend, I know that when you're building something, it's you.
That's it. That's all you think about.
So how do you then believe that if you're not all in, that if you've got even a toe out, that then you're directing your attention in a space that you shouldn't? What's your perspective?
I think especially in the early days, and that's an error that we made in previous ventures that I was involved, is that we probably tried to diversify ourselves too much and try to please all demographics and all audiences. And by doing so, you naturally gravitate outside of the business to see what else you could do and what other areas could you explore that might benefit the business down the track. I think when you're first starting in the first 12 months, when you're really trying to build that trust between yourself and your audience, and you're trying to build that brand, I think personally it is crucial to be 100% within the business in some shape or form, right? Having your discipline and having your fundamentals in place, and then really focusing on that particular goal. Once you're a bit more established and once your feet are on the ground, that will then give you the opportunity to explore maybe outside. But personally, I found, at the beginning, it's quite important to be focusing, to be breathing it, to be visualizing it for it to manifest again.
Yes. I'd like to know what innovations you've seen in the industry. What innovations have you seen take place previously? Obviously, you've had quite an interesting career so far. What have you seen take place in this area of the industry?
I'd like to say there's been quite a bit, but I think the industry that we're in, especially what we're targeting in the hangover space, there hasn't been a huge amount of exploration occurring in this area. I mean, we've got a few competitors, very, very different to ours. I think historically, if you look back at the similar type products that have existed in the market, they've all been around the tablets or the drips into the drink and whatnot. And they've usually been focused around the following morning where you drink it before that. I'd like to think what we've brought here to Australia is innovative in its own manner, and the fact that it's a preventative, it's a drink that you have prior to having your alcoholic drink. So listen, I'll have to have a bit of a think about that.
It's cool. I like to try to push those questions.
100%.
What about innovations that you can see taking place now? You're not the first mover in this space, but you're still, in my opinion, earlier on compared to other people. That you're going to have other people coming in. How have you seen other people innovating in this space, and how do you think other people are potentially going to innovate around you guys?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, listen, absolutely. I think this space is going to grow and grow and grow, right? We'd be silly to think that our drinking culture is going to disappear anytime soon, and the world is heading in a more health conscious space. So it's a fine kind of balance between, and our solution is exactly an answer to that call, effectively, right? So absolutely there'll be others. I think one of the angles that we'll see people take the more kind of medical route and push harder on the credibility of the science of it and market it purely on the science component and try to educate in that sense. Whereas we'll have others that will take it more on the cool factor, if you like, right? And more like what brands have done it and use more kind of influential type people to kind of make the product cool, if you like, for the younger crowd. Whereas what we've done ourselves, and we've mapped out who we are, it's kind of, I'd like to think that we're right smack bang in the middle. You know, it's a product that has a scientific backing and it has the work done for anyone to look at and research if they're interested. But we're certainly, you know, ensuring that our brand remains with that kind of cool first night of the drink. It's the start of all good stories, if you like, right? It's the one of the better analogies that was described to me once was that Body Armour is to your night out what protein shakes is to gym goers. It's like the essential part of your night out. It has that kind of cool factor, but it has that science behind it where you need it.
Fantastic. Because obviously those two ways, you know, the scientific route and the marketing route, they have their own challenges and they're two very different ways to do things. So it's interesting seeing what you guys are doing. Yeah. What do you find is your biggest challenge right now?
Our biggest challenge, I mean, apart from the skepticism, like I said, that is naturally the number one challenge that we've had, and we knew we were going to face that because I don't think we'd be human if we didn't have some form of skepticism, especially given some of the products have been in the past. So that is definitely our number one. And like I said, you know, what we are doing for that to combat that is provide, you know, transparent information on our ingredients, on our formula website, discusses it in a detail as to how it works. There is multiple studies available out there. And then we ourselves are really active online in the social media space to really connect with our audience and be able to, I guess, demonstrate how it works, you know, what the benefits are and again, provide that kind of education. And then ultimately being involved in a number of different types of events and partnering up with different brands and giving people the opportunity to try it. You know, come and give it a go in the name of science, like we joke about. So that would definitely be our biggest challenge today. I guess the second one that we've had for a bit is a product like ourselves naturally will also create a bit of heat or a bit of hate, I guess, if you like, because a lot of groups will feel that a product or a brand like ourselves encourages excessive drinking or binge drinking, right? And that's certainly not what we're about. Body Armour is by no means encouraging excessive drinking. We condemn it, if anything. The way we just see it is people are going to be drinking regardless of whether we're in the picture or not. If you're going to have a couple of drinks, like we said earlier, you're going to be getting those toxins. So why would you not? Why wouldn't you help yourself get rid of those toxins?
I guess the other view on that is that the classic anti-publicity is good publicity, right? Are you using that to then leverage things as well?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, when we get hit up by media or different groups and whatnot with these kind of comments or questions, or once again, very transparent. We are open book and we explain to them what it's all about and what we're trying to achieve here, which is, like I said, you know, just a healthier way to conduct a healthy activity.
Have you had a mentor to guide you through any of this?
Yeah, listen, I've been again lucky enough to have quite a few mentors. Again, during my Rio Tinto times, I've had some senior managers take me under their wing and show me a number of different skills that I've taken along with me, and I still remain in touch with them. I think, you know, anyone that says they're able to do this on their own without some kind of assistance is probably kidding themselves, you know. And if you're lucky enough to be able to have access to some form of mentors that can give you a direction or some kind of guidance, then great, absolutely. You know, hold on to that with your dear life. I think setting up a business or the entrepreneurship is hands down the hardest thing that anyone could do. You know, you've got professional life. You know, I'm not saying that that's easy by no means, but you know, there's always some form of direction. There is, if it's a university, this is what you've got to study this book, study it really hard. You'll get question exams at the end. You pass it. This is what you are. Professional scene. You know, this is what the objectives of the company are. These are the direction. This is your boss. This is who you report to. Off you go. There's none of that entrepreneurship. There's no guidance. There's no direction. There's no, hey, you're doing a good job. Oh, that will work. Oh, that didn't work. There's no one there to guide you around what the learnings were, what the opportunities are, when to jump in, when not to jump in. So having a mentor for me has been excellent in the space of when I kind of second guessed myself, or when there was massive errors that I pulled on my mentors to assist me on that learning process as to how can we do things differently. And you know, if you were in my position, you know, what would you have done differently so I can learn. It's all about giving it a go, giving it a crack, learning from it and going again.
If someone wanted to do what you do, what advice do you have for them?
So specifically in our field or just generally in setting up a startup?
I'm going to keep it broad.
Keep it broad. Yeah, cool. I think startup, the first thing is self-discipline is an absolute key factor to being able. Persistence is another one. You know, we got hit with a number of hurdles in all ventures I've been involved in, and many a times, you know, it dawns on you, listen, this is a bit too much, and it crosses your mind to kind of throw in the towel. But it's about persistence and pushing through that, and it all eventually does work out. So it's about knowing that.
Another way I've heard that worded is consistency.
Yeah.
So persistence, consistency.
That's it.
Just keeping on going.
Keep on going.
Yeah.
Keeping on going. Absolutely. And then naturally passion. You've got to have passion in it. If you're just chasing it because the idea sounds nice that you don't have to work and report to your boss, or you hate working for other people, or if it's just money driven or that sort of stuff, very quickly the cracks will appear, and the consistencies won't last, and you'll fall. So I think you've really got to look within yourself, but spend a bit of mirror time basically, and make sure that, hey, you know, you are passionate about this, and the service or the product that you're doing, and your end goal is something that you really love.
So I know you asked about both there. Let's go with a more specific answer as well. So how would you advise someone who has an idea for a product?
Yeah.
How should they start?
Yeah, listen, product-wise, the first thing I would do is, once you've got an idea, is really have a look at the other countries. There is a lot of countries that are behind us, more advanced, that have better forms of the concept that you're trying to develop, better services or whatnot. So, you know, we've got the beauty of having the internet in our lives. So jumping on board there and doing your due diligence and understanding exactly as to what others are doing basically around the world. I think that is the first step, and that gives you a bit of a blueprint as to what exists out there, and how you can improve on, or whether your product needs more work or less work or whatnot. That's probably the first thing. Depending obviously on your product and your service, you really need to understand the industry, understand whether there is laws around it, understand, you know, the regulations, the governing pieces and whatnot. And then the very, very first piece, which I guess we've probably only done effectively for this particular venture, and it was a learning from our last ventures, is understanding who you are as a brand, right? A common mistake that we've done in our previous ventures is, like I said, we try to diversify and please everyone. We now understand you're never going to be able to please anyone, and there is only certain demographics that you want to target, and it's about understanding who you are as a brand. So what we've literally done is we spent weeks together as a unit, as a team, and whiteboarding exactly what does the brand represent, what category do we fall in, what is going to be our target audience. When people think of our brand, what is the first thing we want people to come out with? So understanding, defining, I guess, who you are as a brand will then allow you then to kind of develop your strategy moving forward.
What is it? What is it that you want people to think of when they think of your brand?
Well, listen, I mean, one of our mottos is the start of all good stories. Part of our mission statement is around bringing people together. Given Body Armour is the first drink of the night, it's kind of the hype, the happiest moment of the evening, and you're catching up with your friends, you're getting ready for your night. So we want people basically we want to encourage that. We want to encourage, hey, get out there, have your drinks, enjoy yourself. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? But in saying that, let's also give back to your body in some shape or form, and let's try to claim back tomorrow. Let's do what we can to kind of give a little bit back. So I think Body Armour represents, like I said, it's a good feel, nightlife, get out there, but also think about yourself and claim back tomorrow.
Fantastic. We caught up before the show and we had a bit of a chat about books as well. Are there any books that you're reading at the moment that you think are great? Or?
Listen, I've read quite a lot of books. I think the one book I'll probably comment on, the book that's been out there for quite a while, it's the 7 Habits of Effective People by Stephen Covey. Fantastic book. And I mean, the title speaks for itself. And a psychologist that breaks down the different types of behaviors and how to be effective in your both personal and business life. And it's extremely well articulated. He studied a number of different individuals of all different disciplines and industries, from your military to your CEOs to your sports personnel, and he studied kind of common traits as to what makes them effective, broken them down into 7 different pillars, and each pillar articulating how it works and how each of these, how the individuals use those kind of behaviors to be effective. But yeah, no, excellently well written book, and provides multiple different kind of examples as to how you can apply it into your own personal and business life. And I've personally read it about 4 times now, and I've applied a number of different strategies from that book into our setup.
Because it's interesting that you say you've read that 4 times over, because something that I've heard is some great advice I heard from someone who I really look up to, is that they'd rather read the right books 100 times over than 100 different books.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's totally supports that
100%,
as well.
100%. And so many little, specifically that book, I've not yet come across a book that has so much information condensed into one book that it is physically impossible to take it all in one. So, you know, redigesting it multiple times until it becomes part of how you operate.
Fantastic. So Tony, I have one last question for you today. Who would you like to hear on the show?
Oh, who would I like to hear on the show? If you could bring someone in from Red Bull, that'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, sweet. Well, thank you very much for being on the show today, Tony.
Thanks for having us.
It's been great to have you on.
Yeah,
Very
cheers.
insightful. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
The show today was produced by Angus Brennan. If you'd like to know more about hospopreneurs, for advice, insights, and extra content, find us at hospopreneurs.com. Thanks for listening.